Today we're gonna do some reading skills. Um, Choose a 2.5 minute video and analyze it. Okay, shadowing. But first, we'll do. Okay, put questions 1 to 5 in the order that appear in the passage. Okay, matching features. Matching features. First, I need to read some. The Times or Worker. The New Zealand Herald. Herald. Okay. The Times. The New York Times. Thank you. Breaking news. Sorry, I'm out. BBC. Come on, man. Okay. Simon Stone, Chief Football News reporter. European football's 55 members associations have voted to boycott World Cups if the sport's governing body proceeds with a plan to sell stakes in its competitions to private investors. The decision was made at an emergency meeting called to discuss the proposals announced earlier this week by FIFA, which oversees world football. UEFA, which governs European football, had already made its opposition clear by releasing two damning statements, and that strength of feeling has been reaffirmed. The boycott will cover all FIFA competitions, including the men's and women's World Cups and Clubs World Cup, and be triggered if FIFA President Gianni Infantino's proposals are voted through by member associations. The first time this stance will be tested at a senior tournament is October, when the Women's World Cup playoffs are due to be held. In a statement released after the meeting, which was held virtually and chaired by President Alexander Seferin, UEFA said it and its 55 members associations stands as one. The un- unanimously and unequivoc- unequivocally unequivocally reject FIFA's proposal to transfer ownership interests in the World Cup and the FIFA competitions to private investors, it said. The World Cup cannot be treated as an investment product. It's one of the football's greatest sporting legacies. It has been built over generations by players, national teams, and supporters across every continent. No part of it should ever be surrendered to private investors. The World Cup is not for sale. A football association spokeswoman said England stood shoulder to shoulder with its European colleagues and fully support the collective view. She added, "We oppose FIFA's plans. The FIFA World Cup belongs to football and always will." The Scottish FA added its support, saying its board agrees unequivocally with the concerns raised by all members over the manner in which these proposals have been issued. And deadline said, without a full consultation process and or consideration to governance. Okay. While you've only accounts for a quarter of FIFA's 211 country membership, it does include most of the World Cup's most successful teams. Six of the eight quarter-finalists, including winner Spain, at this summer's World Cup were European. In the 2022 and 2018 editions, the figures were 5 and 6 respectively. Of the 23 World Cup to have taken place to date, 13 have been won by European countries. FIFA wants to create a commercial subsidiary to run its main events, including the World Cup, and external investors will be able to buy stakes in it. It said it would invite third parties to make minority, non controlling investments in a new subsidiary, FIFA Forward Enterprise (FFE), to consolidate its commercial and event operations. Infantino wrote to all 211 FIFA member associations saying they would receive 40 million or £30 million if they backed his controversial proposal. The Swiss set a deadline of 19 September for football federations to accept his plans if they wanted to access an initial $20 million or 15 million euros pounds. The Women's Under 20 World Cup, which will take place in Poland, starts on 5 September. The plan still needs to be passed by a vote of FIFA members, but if approval is granted, FIFA says Strive Antonel is expected to lead the proposed investors group for FFE. Strive is an American venture capital firm founded by Joshua Koshner, the brother of US President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared. FIFA sources have told BBC Sports there has been no discussion over Infantino or anyone else becoming chief executive of FFE. On Wednesday, UEFA accused FIFA of using football to enrich themselves and their friends. Its statement on Thursday was even more damning, calling it irresponsible and indefensible that a proposal of such significance for football was conceived in secret and without any meaningful consultation with those who steward the game. It added, "This is not morally a profound failure of leadership, but an abdication of FIFA's duty as a custodian of world football. National associations around the world are now presented with an ultimatum: accept the re- reversible capture of football's greatest competitions or bear the consequences. It is not a democratic decision, but governance by intimidation and act of coercion, coercion unworthy of an institution entrust, entrusted with the stewardship of the global game. Okay. Matching features tasks are used with reading passages that contain theories or comments about different people, place, years, and things. For this task, the different options are listed in a box, and you need to match them to the questions, sentence that paraphrase the information in the passage. The questions will not be in the same order as the passage. For some questions, you may need to match a person to a study or an action rather than a theory or opinion. Okay, so scan the passage on the following page for these names and highlight them each time they appear. Page 1. Iron Man, great. Math shows why words persist over time, and a finding that parallels the evolution of gains. Researchers have shown that the more frequently a word is used, the less likely it is to change over long periods of time. The question of why some words evolve rapidly through time while others are preserved, often with the same meaning in multiple languages, has long plagued linguists. Two independent teams of researchers have tackled this question from different angles, each arriving at a remarkably similar conclusion. The frequency with which specific words are used in every language exerts a general and love-like influence on their rate of evolution. Right, writes Mark Pagel, author of one of the two studies published this week. Anyone who has tried to learn English will have been struck by its excess of stubbornly irregular verbs which render grammatical rules unreliable. The past tense of regular verbs is formed by adding the suffix ed, but this luxury is not afforded to the irregular kin. Over time, however, some irregular verbs regularize. For instance, the past tense of help used to be hope, but now it's helped. Mathematica, mathematician, mathematic, mathematician Eris Lieberman from Harvard University in Massachusetts, US performed a quantitative study of the rate at which English verbs such as help have become more regular with time. Of the list of 177 irregular verbs they took from Old English, only 98 are still irregular today. Amazingly, the change they observed obey a very precise mathematical description. The half life of an irregular verb is proportional to the square root of its frequency. In other words, they found that the more an irregular verb is used, the longer it will remain irregular. A separate group of academics led by evolutionary biologist Mark Pagel from the University of Reading in the UK used a statistical modeling technique to study the evolution of words from 87 different Indo-European languages throughout its 8,000-year history. All Indo-European language speakers, huh? İşkembe o. Speaks have used every... My yapıyor. A related sound to communicate the idea of two objects. Do, does, doors, acts, active. Pagel commented, but he adds, there are many different and unrelated sounds for the idea of, for example, a bird, Usella also polypagera, Vogel as. Before now, however, nobody had proposed a mechanism for why some words should evolve more quickly than others. According to Pagel, our research helps us to understand why we can still understand bits of Chaucer, a medieval poet, and points out that this likely explains that why we can instinctively recognize words in other Indo-European languages just from their sounds. Psychologist and language expert Russell Gray from the University of Auckland in New Zealand was impressed by both findings. Despite all the vagaries and contingencies of human history, it seems that there are remarkable regularities in the process of language change, he commented. So, Lieberman Gray, page 1. Lieberman Gray, page 1. Grizzle Gray. Is it page 1 or Pagel? That's Pagel. That's Pagel, bro. That ain't page 1. Pagel. Pagel. Pagel. Pagera. Okay. Writing skills. What am I doing here? Writing skills. Okay. Super, in which we are fifth. Okay. Look at the following statements, questions 1 to 5, and the list of researchers below. Match each statement with the correct researcher A, B, or C. We are able to recognize certain words, certain words used by people in other cultures. Pagel. First is Pagel. But A. Regardless of what happens in the world, there appear to be fixed rules that govern the way worlds alter over time. It's also result gray. Bacaktan otura. Koç. Koç bette. Where's gray? Okay, I was impressed by both finds in Super. regardless of what happens in the world, there appear to be fixed rules that govern the way of votes over time. Mm, okay, that's great. Votes that don't follow a standard pattern will remain that way if they are used often. Lieberman. Okay. Lieberman. Certain words have kept a similar sounds across many years and many countries. That's Pagel. We focus on the historical changes that have occurred in one particular Lieberman. B. Put questions and passage. Remember, some of the questions are based on comments made about the researchers for which question in. What? Did you need to march a person to the study that they carried out? And which verbs in text are used to show that a person? For further practice in marching sentence endings. Complete the sentence 1 to 3 with endings A to E. For a long time, language experts have asked why. For a long time, language experts have asked why. Uh, the English verb help proves that the English help. Oh, see, see, see. While cultures vary a great deal around the world, test formative features task the questions will not be in the same order as in the passage. The people mentioned may appear in several different sections. You need to scan the whole passage carefully. Some of the people in the first list may be distractors, and you may not need to use all of the letters. Okay. I'm out. Oh God, it looks so pretty when you tell me that you love me. I wish that I could last by myself a bit. Evolve. Get over here. My mind is self-aware that I get lost. Kilip çıkma. Tackled. Bartolomeo Mock. Bro, come on. Exit. Basmod gizmo, تذکر Exit. But my mind is self-aware. Stubborn. Render. Boyunsunma. Boysunmak, itaat etmek. Precise. You're my Brooklyn. Contingencies. Больше аккумулятивных технологий.
Contingency.
Contingency. Contingency. Contingency. Contingency. Be my Brooklyn baby. Okay. Amusing. Tamam. Yapışqoq. Adhesive. Perish. Uymoq. Consent. Ruxsat ijozat. Household. Uy xo'jalik. Occupied. Band. Mashg'ul moliyaviy yordam. Financial banking. Bilishga bo'lgan qiziqish. Curious. Precisely. Aynan xuddi. Bo'yniga olmoq. Admit. Sevmoq suymaydi. Badly altitude. Keyin so'nggi oxirgi latte. Kalga qilmoq. Tease. Manufacture. Yopishtiradigan. Clean. Tirishqoqlik bilan tenaciously. Extent. Daraja bilan qiyos. Plain. Aniqlavchi. Grief. Regiment. Quench. Devote. Ajratib olmoq. Extract. Yoqimsiz jirkanch. Repellent. Kichik harf. Lowercase. Muallaq turgan. Freestanding. Basmoqaron. Quench. Trenchant. O'tkinchi qisqa. Nikoh. Matrimony. Sodir bo'lmoq. Cure. Conceive. O'ylamoq. Promptly. Tezkorlik. Jang'och. Combat. Doubt. Erib ketadigan. Soluble. Helpless person. Poor soul. Discursive. Boshqa narsaga ulanib ketadigan. Canopy. Chodir. Scamper. Mayliqdami. Biz uni aniqlab qilaylik. Joyi emas. Indirect. Indicate. Bo'ktiroq. Immerse. O'tkinchi qisqa. Repellent. Trenchant. Izlamoq. Forage. Bir xil ravishda consistently. Qanday esish joyida. Sensible. Har tomonlama. Comprehensive. Furthermore. Bundan tashqari. Soaking. Shlaba bo'lgan bo'ktirilgan. Dastur reja. Scheme. Obstacle. Qiyinchilik. Jumboqli. Occult. Tushunib bo'lmaydigan. Unaccountable. Persuade. Ko'ndirmoq. Rozi qilmoq. Latte. Pul tikmoq. Bed. Inheritance. Meros. Affection. Deceive. Oh my gosh. Good heavens. Grocery. Compromise. Actually. Maintenance. Betray. Regiment. Trench. Patienate. Detach. Speculate. Collapse. Engraving. Gravure. Ape. Gosh, butcher. Repellent. Yoqimsiz jirkanch. Semiz. Stout. Scheme. Unlashtirmoq. Summarize. Barrel drench. Cumulus poppycock. Vada. Commitment. One-sided love. Good luck. shu sababdan shuning hence people. Nima debdi? Nima debdi? O'qituvchilargami? Fable. O'qima. Xuddi aynan precisely. Yopishgan modda adhesive, constant, mostly ijozat, transient, o'tkinchi, conceive, extent, miqyos, ko'lam bir xil ravishda, consistently, tashqari bilan tenaciously, quench, qondirmoq, bosmoq, izlamoq, forage, yoqimsizlik, repellent, discursive, betray, speculate, o'tkinchi, transient, inheritance, repellent, passionate, joshqin, ko'rmoq, behold, detach, va'da, commitment, come here.